It's 9:30. If we could stand for the opening karakia, please. Whakataka taho ki te uru, whakataka taho ki te tonga, kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā tātara ki tai, eki aki ana te akura, he teo, he hoku, he hei, Māori ora. Excellent. Welcome along, everybody. We've got apologies from the Mayor and Councillor Barber, which I'm happy to move. Oh, is Pauline an apology? Oh, okay, Pauline's an apology for the meeting. Okay. So that's 3 for that one. So I'm happy to move, Vic's happy to second. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you. We'll just note the declarations part, which is item 15, elected member appointments, Henstock, Coker, Harrison Hunt and more. And then myself in item 18, roading maintenance contracts. So we'll just note those. If there's any others, just flick them through or let us know as we get through it. Confirmation of the previous minutes. I'm happy to move. Jake's happy to second. All in favour? Against? That's carried. And that brings us to public forum. So welcome along. I've got Jan Cook from Friends of Banks Peninsula to speak on the Akara wastewater treatment plant. So do you want to come on up? And you've got 5 minutes, so don't worry, we won't start the clock till you're up at the table. So. Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Make sure you can hear me. That's good. So I'm here to follow up on the letter that we sent you all on the 4th of August. That was following your last meeting here where we spoke. Firstly, we really wanted to thank you for your decision to provide the 2.7 kilometre outfall pipeline for the overflows. It's a pity, really, that this decision was not put in place several years ago. Really, it's a necessity for the scheme's safety, and staff resistance on the question of overflows and provisions for them has been a really serious and ongoing concern for the community. And in fact, was that was the matter that dominated the 8 days of costly hearing days that have now been abandoned. At your last meeting, Councillor MacDonald expressed his frustration with getting accurate and timely information, and that really struck a chord with us, I must say. Also, Y Designs gave you a presentation about their wastewater treatment and disposal system, along with some costings for Akara and Devotional. Councillor Peters asked if staff could get together with Y Design. He was concerned that an opportunity might otherwise be missed, and there was considerable interest, I noted, around the table in what Simon had to say. The staff response was that they have had conversations but would like to know consent conditions before proceeding with anything. And staff also noted that the gist of that idea was in a report for your 22nd April meeting, so had been considered and been rejected. And I think this is rather misleading, really, because that report contained reference to a report from back in 2020, when Devotional wasn't even thought of as being part of the Akara scheme, for example, and that rejected gallery infiltration from long list options. My understanding is that the Y system is not gallery infiltration, and we think that you really ought to be properly considering other options, including Y Design's proposals for the Devotional scheme, at least. So there was a staff decision in 2024 to send Devotional wastewater to the Akara scheme following damage to the existing treatment plant site. But there appears to have been no assessment of any other option other than costly remediation of the current treatment site with continued harbour discharge. Staff determined that a single scheme would be more cost-effective and operationally resilient. However, that assumption needs to be re-examined, we think. With conveyance costs of around 20 million, and that will only increase, extra costs for storage and disposal at Robinson's Bay, the extra pressure on the already shaky irrigation scheme and its overflows, along with substantial disruption to the road corridor and the carbon emissions from earthworks, they make this actually a very expensive option. That is combining Akaroa, sending it to Devotional, makes it a very expensive choice. And so in April, you asked staff to find cost savings and report back. The location of the treatment plant to a larger, more geotechnical favourable site is an obviously worthwhile measure. Others, though, such as reduced storage, increased irrigation rates, and further encroachment on heritage areas, come across to the affected community as just risky penny pinching. And despite the obviously very high cost for conveyance from Devotional, this was not reassessed by staff as part of that process. And I note that at that point, we know that Y Design had been in formal discussions via an unsolicited formal approach with staff since about August last year. And it seems you knew nothing about this until Simon spoke directly to you last month. And really that's why I'm here again, because I think we need to sit here and talk to you directly about some of these things, otherwise you're not hearing about them. Devotional is a very small system, it really is, and it ought to be easily consentable under the new wastewater environmental performance standards, and the council already owns large flat areas of land at the showground and golf course, for example. Y Design's presentations showed examples of their system already operating successfully at golf courses. So the Friends' interest is in environmental safety and sustainability. We think that small schemes, such as you already have at Tika Wainui, provide greater resilience, for example, especially against climate change and natural disaster, much greater resilience than complex systems with many kilometres of pipes.
How are you tracking for time there? How are you tracking with what you've got left to say, Jan?
Sorry, beg your pardon?
Oh, are you nearly through it? We've just run out of time.
Gosh, is it gone?
But
yeah,
I'm happy to give you another 30 seconds to wrap it up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, why do we care about cost? Well, there's no shortage of important environmental and resilience projects that could benefit from money not wasted on this scheme. And in particular in that regard, the community wants to see the very best future-focused wastewater treatment system. And I put more about that, what we think should be looking at that more, the wastewater treatment system now, and we think you need to be asking a lot more questions about that.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming in and doing that, and I did appreciate your information you sent through as well. So I'm sure Council will look to it in the next workshop with the team. So yeah, much appreciated. Thank you. Okay. Now I'd like to invite Suki Thompson up, and same thing, Suki. But if you need another 30 seconds, like Jan, it's no problem.
Well, thank you very much for having us along once again. Today I'm representing the Robinsons Bay Community Heritage Trust. I bring apologies from our chair, Brent George, who has been unable to attend due to a family medical emergency. So I'm going to be talking today about the significant heritage of Robinsons Bay. It is the site of the first power sawmill in Canterbury. Now that's a major milestone in Canterbury history, because once a mill had been pioneered here at Robinsons Bay, and this is on the wastewater site, it initiated the transformation of the Banks Peninsula landscape from virgin forest to pastoral farming. Something we may regret in some ways these days, but history isn't always about the good things, and just like a massacre at Takapuniki, this massacre of the forest is something that's really significant to our history. And that timber that was cut on the peninsula was used to build the early city of Christchurch, growing on the treeless plains. Next door to the site is the 1850s home of the first mill owners. It's a district plan listed in Heritage New Zealand listed building. It features in this current edition of the Heritage New Zealand magazine. So I've just picked a copy of that up from Heritage New Zealand over the road. So it is a really significant place. It's been fully restored. It is owned by the Robinsons Bay Community Heritage Trust. We operate it as a community centre, and we rent it out on Airbnb to raise the money excuse me, to cover our costs, the principal one of which is paying our rates to Christchurch City Council. So we're concerned about the viability of this because of its proximity to the wastewater site. Now, this slide here shows you the heritage features on that wastewater site. This document was produced by the council and submitted to the 2024 application process. You can see the sawmill site, the mill dam, the tramway, the old whare, and so on, going up the valley. And I've superimposed Pavitt Cottage at the start there because it's just at the front of that property. There's been a 40-year aspiration in Robinsons Bay to create a heritage area there. I've outlined it in brown. There's been a book written about the area. The signs were put up there 40 years ago. In the 2024 application, most of the wastewater infrastructure was at a reasonable distance from the cottage. There was an irrigation area above it on the other side of the stream, but the storage tanks were some distance away, and so was the main site access. But under the revised proposals, and I'm now just homing in on that nearest part to the cottage, now irrigation is proposed to the cottage boundary. The main site access road is proposed off Sawmill Road, and a storage tank, 5,000 cubic metres, that is way bigger than the previous storage tanks, 9 metres high and probably not covered, are part of that. You haven't been told about these changes. We've pulled them out through OIA requests or through Lagoima request. So picking up from what Jan said, we're concerned about the level of information that there is at this table about the changes. And these things represent minor cost savings on that program as a whole, but a massive impact on the community and heritage. They're really the death of our aspiration for a heritage area, and we are really concerned that they put the cottage at risk of being completely unfinancially viable, so we won't be able to pay our rates anymore. So what we are asking is for you to be concerned about these proposals, to respect the Robinsons Bay Heritage Area. I mean, after all, this whole thing is only coming about to protect cultural and heritage values. We want our cultural and heritage values to be included in that consideration, and we're asking you to instruct the staff to exclude the community proposed heritage area from the wastewater infrastructure in the fast track application, which means no tanks near Sawmill Road, no site access off Sawmill Road, and no irrigation on the valley floor behind the cottage. So that's what we wanted to say to you.
Hey, thank you for that. And I see we've got 30 seconds. Do you want to just go back for me, please? I think it's slide 7. So maybe I've got it wrong, and maybe we can get staff to clarify later on. My understanding was we weren't putting a storage tank there.
Well, we sent in a request because there had been this information that storage tanks might be moved to somewhere else, and that's I've taken that off the response from our request.
So we might get, because my understanding, I may have got it wrong, I didn't think that was within the scope of the project. So why don't could we have an action to just communicate, just so that Suki and that are really clear on that? Because when I saw your slides yesterday, I went, it doesn't feel quite right. So be good to just clarify that.
So I haven't invented that. It's off the answer that we got from Gavin Hutchinson.
Okay.
Also, that site access on Sawmill Road, that was something that was hard fought for by the community, that there would not be site access and all the trucks going up and down Sawmill Road.
Yep.
So if we can clear those things up, that would be
I think
appreciated.
particularly that tank image, because it is a big thing. So it'd be good. We'll get some information through just to help. So, hey, thank you very much for coming in, Suki. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Okay, we've got no deputations and we've got no petitions. Don't think. So that's good. Let's go to item number 7, the key organisational performance results for the year end 30 June. Peter, do you want to talk us through it?
Good morning, everyone. Look, yes, happy to move through this, but to be honest with you, it's not a huge surprise. It's been consistent for 4 or 5 months now. The results are consistent with all the forecasts. We haven't had any big drops at year end, and it's been an exceptionally good year. I just want to take a moment on that because, as I said before, these headline numbers are very easy to skate through, but they actually represent work by hundreds of people over a very long period. So community levels of service, which is probably the bit that our residents feel the most, is at nearly 91%, which, as I've said before, is highest even including pre-quake. This is as good as we've been for nearly 20 years. Management levels of service, which are a bit more technical, still very high, still well above target. Resident survey, we achieved the increase we were looking for. Watch list delivery of milestones, and I'll stress that that's delivery of work, not spend. A little bit lower, but just remember that the watch list is quite short. It only takes 1 or 2 projects to move things by a very large amount in terms of the percent. Non-watch list, which is the vast majority of the program in terms of individual projects, were high and well above target. Same for planning for the years ahead, both delivered to feed the pipe that will result in capital building down the line. Value for money, obviously the council overall, the budgets are fine. The budget is fine, we're actually in surplus. Within that, in individual activities, there are a couple that were off track. The only material one is water supply. And lastly, delivery of the capital program, thanks to a little bit of a spike at year end, is well within the 10% buffer that we were looking for. So overall, an absolute cracker of a year. We delivered services high, capital as high as we've ever been, planning as high as we've ever been, resident satisfaction on the up.
We could just get you to repeat that again for 5 minutes, Peter. That would be quite easy. And the media may get it. Are they here? No, they're not. Oh. Okay. Any questions for Peter? No, I'm happy to move it. Tyler's happy to second it. All in favour? Against? Well done, Peter, and thanks to the team. And I guess it is an acknowledgement of the whole organisation for delivering. So, yeah, thank you. Okay, Mitchell, do you want to come up and do item number 8, the financial report? I'm happy to move. Someone's happy to second. Tim's happy to second. Do you want to just give us a quick rundown and?
Very quick rundown. It's been a strong financial performance this year. The surplus has come in generally in line with what we forecast back in February, after carry forward of $50.7 million. In terms of the capital program, final core capital program expenditure sitting at $535.6 million, which has resulted in around $40 million less borrowing than we had planned for in the 26 annual plan. And that's generally in line with what we had forecast into the 27 annual plan. So it's all the numbers have generally lined up with where we expect them to be.
No, that's great, really useful, and it's just a tidy up on year end. So I've got Nathaniel and then Yanni.
Yeah, just a couple of little things I was curious about. On the rate stat, does that how much does that cost us? Like, do we charge interest on rate? How does all that work?
So the rates debt in itself is fairly consistent over time. So to put into perspective, the 90-day overdue since 2017 through to the end of this current financial year has fluctuated between 1.1 and 1.6% of our total rate strike. In terms of the actual balance come year end, it generally sits at around 4% for the last few years. There is a minor cost to that rates debt in the form of working capital. However, that is more than offset by the penalties that are applied to outstanding rates debt, which is 10% on any overdue amounts, and on any significantly more delinquent amounts, an additional 10%.
Great, thank you. Another one on the housing activity. I was just curious where the surplus in the housing activity ends up.
So that surplus that you're seeing in Appendix A is the surplus on the net controllable costs, so it excludes the cost of insurance and rates, which we report below the line. So the overall result for the housing fund is much closer to a net neutral. Any surpluses that the housing fund does produce are put back into the housing fund. They're kept ring-fenced from all other funding sources, and that surplus is then carried forward and can be applied in future years. It's essentially a fund on the balance sheet.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Questions, really useful. Yanni.
Are you able to give us a sense of the impact that the conflict in the Middle East has had? And, you know, I'm just really interested. Obviously, we had some presentations a couple of months ago about potential impacts, but are you able to give us a bit of a snapshot about what we've seen and where we're at? Thanks.
So in terms of a direct impact, in the 26 financial year it's primarily been additional direct fuel costs on our fleets and the fleet of some of our subcontractors. In a lot of cases, those rates are tied up and for the contractor side, can't be increased until set inflation indexes are released, which we don't control. So in terms of cost in the 26 financial year, it's been rather minor, sort of $2 million range. We expect more of the cost to fall into quarter one of the 27 financial year as Stats NZ and the likes release the updated inflation metrics and they flow through into the contract terms.
And
Yep.
I was quite keen to understand a little bit about the grants. There's a section around revenue, so I'm just flicking back to it. Capital revenues and funding, 6.6. 4.7 million lower than budget at the end before carry forwards due to lower NZTA CapEx subsidy receipts and lower capital grants for Parakore and Court Theatre. Are you able just to talk through? I was just trying to understand what's driven that, and is that where that money was expected to come from and why it hasn't come through?
It's more the timing of the receipt of that funding. So in regards to the NZTA, we generally have a 3-year program of funding, so it's just the timing between the years of when that funding comes in. In regards to the Parakore and Court Theatre, from memory, they're being carried forward into the financial year 27 and in the process of being sorted at the moment.
I was just trying to understand, where is that revenue and funding coming from? It's not from council, right? This is external.
It's external sources.
So why is there a delay to Parakore and Court Theatre? And who's not paying?
I can handle the Court Theatre one. The Court Theatre one was based on a specific requirement, which was practical completion. And while the building has been occupied, practical completion didn't occur until July this year, so it was in this financial year. That invoicing for the first part of the Court Theatre requirement has been issued to them. We will receipt that money in this financial year. So it's just a matter of timing. We didn't want to let the contractor off the hook with practical completion.
Sorry, just to be clear, that's money the Court Theatre is going to pay as part of their contribution.
Correct.
And we've invoiced them, and yeah,
Yep.
it's just okay. And the Parakore?
My understanding of the Parakore one, and it's just my understanding, there may be more detail to provide, is that it's in a similar situation. It's closing out a number of the defects that need to be worked through, and once that's done, there'll be a payment from a Takaro coming through.
Okay, how you going, Yanni?
Yeah, just one other thing I just wanted to check around. So just in terms of the surplus, so we've already made the decision to allocate that, so we can't make changes today. Is that pretty much how it goes?
The surplus is being allocated as per the annual plan resolutions.
Right. And is that, I'm just trying to understand around the timing, is that a normal process that we would use, or would we normally do it as part of this report today?
Historically, we've done a bit of both, in the sense that a section will be allocated and then there may be some additional surplus that is found between when the adoption report is put through and the final F&P report, and that will come back to this table for decision. However, when the 27 annual plan, my apologies, was adopted, there was provision made for what any additional surplus that came through, how that should be treated, and we've treated it accordingly.
Great. Okay. So thank you, Mitchell. That's been moved and seconded. All in favour? Against? That's great. Excellent. Thank you. Perfect. Let's go to item 9, the capital program. Paul's here. Great. Welcome.
Morning. So Capital had a very strong year, particularly in the last month. So we finished with a spend on the core program of 535.6, or 95% of budget, which meant we only have a small carry forward of $10 million. the three largest programs within Capital, Three Waters, Transport, and Parks, respectively 94%, 100%, and 103% of budget. So many key projects were completed or met key milestones during the year, and so these have been highlighted in the report. So the other thing is that we haven't included a watch list, as this is the June report, but we have included a report recommending that the watch list effectively has 4 projects removed that were completed last year. We add one for Jelly Park that's currently underway, and propose to add the transfer station redevelopment once those projects are established and underway. So happy to take questions.
Thank you. A good one to tidy up for the year, so that's great. Any questions? Mark's happy to move it. Nathaniel's happy to second it. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Great. Thank you, Paul. And good to tidy it up for year end. Okay, Bruce, are you talking us through facilities maintenance, which I'm happy to move? If someone would like to second. Tim's happy to second it. But, feel free to sit down and there might be questions. I suspect there's not. It's pretty straightforward, but... Okay. Oh, Nathaniel does? Yep.
Oh, this is the procurement strategy, or am I out of order here?
Procurement.
Yeah?
This is the... yeah. No, this is facility.
Because we've skipped around, because we're
going
on
to
12 now?
Sorry, I've missed you off, Peter, again. We're at... Oh, yeah. We're at 12.
So we've gone
okay, we're item 12.
Nice. And then we'll go back.
Yeah. We've gone to item 12, which has been moved and seconded, which Tim knew what was happening, which I'm pleased because I didn't. Which again is still very, very simple. So you may have some questions on this.
Yeah.
Okay, Nathaniel, then Yanni.
Cool.
Then we'll vote on this and go back. Sorry.
Great. So, yes. So under this option, under the hybrid model option we're talking about, what is the relationship between the head contractor that we get and then the facilities maintenance works panel? Are we sort of in between, or do they work together?
We are in between.
Okay.
They're separate. But my apologies. The head contractor could be on those panels if they've got the expertise to be on those panels as well. So a multidisciplinary company could do that.
So they're not subcontracting. It's just they're doing the main stuff, and then we're contracting the other stuff.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. And then it was a sense that this was sort of a move, potentially, a move towards bringing more expertise in-house. So how does that, was the thing in there about the risks of staff capability? So how are we planning to sort of scale up our capability to manage all the contracts?
So I'll start with the funding aspect of that. There is no need for additional funding.
Yep.
We can meet that within the overall approvals that council gives us.
Yeah.
Within the existing contract, there is a management area that's set aside. We'd be looking to take that from the contractor, bring that in-house. And then what we would do is work through with ELT and work through the approvals to get that right number of staff. We've done the planning on that, but we'll do it over time with all those approvals to put in place. So there'll be a mixture of contract managers and more contract auditors and people issuing works. So some of the work that occurs now with the contractor is to organise it through to subcontractors,
right.
People on the phones. So we need to have those kind of people in-house doing that.
So we're just sort of taking on some work that used to be done by the contractor. We're in-housing that.
Yeah, so that we've got more control over that and more visibility over that, and we can provide that reassurance back to you that that everything is happening appropriately, particularly in the health and safety space.
Yeah, right. And what's the digital management side of things? We need to do a bit of development there too as well.
Yep.
Is that right?
So when we get a job, we then send it out and we want to track that. We want to track that it meets timeframes. We want to get communication from who's doing that. We want to get information back about the financials. Now, some of that's really easy. They'll issue an invoice and we pay that. But it's also about asset information. So if we replace the widget, we want to know that we've replaced it, so we update our systems and We know that that's renewal cycles changed, etc. Or we're seeing what failure rates are occurring, so that we know, well, that door handle's been broken 3 times.
Yeah.
We might need to change the style of door handle.
But are we
so it's getting a system that
Yeah.
provides all of that information.
Will it require us to sort of get a whole new digital system, or is it sort of being included in something we've already?
We think there's systems that we have that can be modified to do that.
Okay, cool. Last little one was just the. It was probably in there. I must have just missed it. The length of this contract and whether there's renewal conditions.
So that will fall through into the procurement plans that sit underneath this procurement strategy.
Yeah.
And the likely time frame for the head contract is 5+2, with the extension. I'll first explain the reasoning for that. That covers the investment cycle for tools, equipment, vehicles that might be needed, so that we get that right at that sweet spot, and we don't end up paying for stuff that we don't get the benefit from, and it remains reliable. Then the triggers for renewal are about performance against KPIs, including KPIs related to value for money. Other contracts we'll work through, they will be different. Some, like pre-qualified for renewal works, maybe that we keep a contractor on for 3 years and then we review and then take some off, put additional ones on, so that we get a bit of change in that market as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Just to kind of understand a little bit more, one of the things we did with the park rangers, for example, was have park rangers who can do stuff, like a handyman kind of job. So we'd be looking at some of that coming in-house where we can. So there'll be a process around looking at what is more effective and efficient and more cost-effective to do in-house as part of this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That's on our plan, particularly for that service, the handyman service that you've mentioned.
Yeah. And in terms of understanding the asset condition, I guess this is the thing that I worry about. So the risk of going to the hybrid model around not knowing what the asset condition data is on the assets, what's the risk around contracting that out versus doing it in-house?
What we're proposing in this is to bring in-house that condition assessment, so that more of that condition assessment is done by our own staff. We would still, for specialised things, get externals to do that. And with there I'm talking about things like HVAC, lifts, that equipment that really needs that really specific knowledge, but we can't afford to have somebody on staff just to do that.
Sure.
So we would still contract out that, but more of coming in, looking at this room, looking at the paint condition, those type of things, the floor condition, that would be done. We're moving to move that in-house.
Right. And so the benefit would be that we would know the condition assessment before we let work, whether it's maintenance or it actually needs.
No, we know that already, because we've done a lot of our portfolio and got condition assessments from it already through the last contract. But this is just a way of further getting more control and oversight over that processes.
Okay. And then just the decision around number 4, why would we delegate to the chief executive to approve the contracts when it would be delegation that this committee would normally have? Like, what's the benefit or advantage of doing that, and what's the risk?
It's just the volume. We think, how many contracts is this going to have? It's quite significant. Could be up around 10, 14 contracts. So that's a lot of work. If we work on the basis of $1,000 to $2,000 per report to come to this committee, that's a lot of money spent on essentially administrated. If we can work within the parameters you set and the strategy you set, then we can do it really efficiently if that's delegated through to the CE. We'd still go through the same rigour. We would produce a memo to go through to them, but it's a lot less time and effort than the rigour that comes when we put reports up to you.
Is there any way that we can get visibility ahead of a decision being made, so that if we do have concerns based on local knowledge or experience, we we can raise them ahead
Don't
of.
we have to be clear? I mean, maybe I've missed sort of our role in the legislation, but I don't think we're actually writing the contracts ourselves, or is that rule changed, Bruce, in the Local Government Act? In terms of the councillors writing the contracts?
Councillors?
Yeah. Has that rule changed where we now write the contracts?
We're being asked to delegate to the chief executive
Yeah.
a decision that we would normally make.
But we've just heard that the process will run the same, except to generate the reports to us will cost a couple of grand each.
Yeah.
And there's multiple reports. So why would we go and spend money on something which will get looked at here for 10 seconds? Is that was kind of, I think
So
Bruce was politely putting it.
I understand that, but like people will know my experience with the organics plant, where the council made a decision similar to this, and we ended up with, for 20 years, a community suffering. Right now, I know this is a different issue, but it does.
Yanni, have you got a question?
Yeah. So the question was, could there be a step in the process if we agree to item 4, where we get visibility ahead of the decisions being made to award the contracts around who's being proposed, so that if we do have any concerns, there's a way to get those raised. That was it.
Councillors, you'll have seen from my past behaviour, one of the things I do is bring you some pre-notification and suggest if you want to raise things, we can call it in. We can put some things there. I would recommend that for major contracts only. You don't necessarily want to be approving or being notified of a pre-approval for a panel of pre-approved builders where there might be 10, 15 builders on that. I'm not sure you'll add value in those senses, but I think the main contracts, particularly the head contract, we would do that.
And sorry, can I just check? In terms of the use of local contractors, will there be a weighting around the use of local smaller companies?
That will be the detail in the plan, but that is certainly one of our major objectives of this process and why we've recommended this, because it does create more opportunities for local contractors.
Great,
so
thank you.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Okay, so we're all good? We're all happy? Mel?
There's a few, the hybrid model looks good to me, but there's a few risks in there, and it talks about a digital management solution and I guess capability within the team. I was wondering, can you talk to the digital management solution? And also I was wondering how much more staff time is that going to be to manage these panels?
Yeah. Sorry, I hate answering question with a question, but what above what I answered to Councillor Hertz-Jardine on the digital management system?
To his answer. So you can talk to the other one.
So the staff time aspect of this will bring more, and we need to set up the staff to do this, more things in-house, particularly that issuing work and the logistics of that. That will be a key aspect. There would also need to be more auditing, both of health and safety matters, but quality, and checking that things are completed on time, not just relying on, hey, they said they've done it within this time frame. We actually go and check that. So that will be done. And there's at the higher level, the contract management itself. But what we expect, and our planning and modelling is around, is that we can bring the funding that already within contracts that you've already approved through budgets back in-house, away from the contractor, and then use that to recruit those staff to be able to do that. So that's the planning we're working on. It is a risk, but we've got to be open with you with all the risks of these type of works.
So it's not going to save us money necessarily, it'll just give us more control.
No, the aim of this is to stop any increase or keep the lid on any increase, but I'm not promising savings, because I think to do it right, to get that level of overview, to change the model so that we're really focusing on opening up to more small or medium enterprises, we still need to spend money to do that. It's in different places. Rather than going to one contractor, we bring it in-house and spend it, and then we're going out to use more smaller contractors to deliver the work.
Mm-hmm. Great, thanks.
Cool. We're all good? Okay, that's been moved and seconded. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Great, thank you. So now we'll go back to item 10. Peter, sorry.
Was there something I said?
Yeah.
Okay, look, this project update for the LTP is very similar to one you received previously, and some of you have already been through it with Audit and Risk Committee, so apologies for the repetition. Look, I won't go straight into the detail. Just at the recommendations level, at the high level, there's a little risk mitigation in there around just making sure that we use the term level of service consistently, so that we don't mistake levels of service that you as councillors have seen and been through with heads of service with technical measures in asset plans. They need to be kept very clear which is which. There's also the process from here is basically that we supply the draft LTP to ELT early next week. There's the month of September for ELT to review. We then supply you with a draft LTP on the 2nd of October. Before that, there is a report to next month's F&P to confirm that the 654 has been met, that the draft meets the terms of the letter of engagement that you've provided. So before you get any documents, you'll get that confirmation to the next month's F&P. There are a couple of things we need to probably look to the future, but overall the project is remarkably enough, given the reforms and uncertainties, still on track. And I think we'll be okay to deliver to both ELT and Council as planned. That doesn't mean everybody's going to agree necessarily with all the content. There is a way to go on the capital program, and you'll probably have your own discussions about substitutions and what's in and what's out. As I've said before, meeting the 654 will not make everybody happy. It's tighter than what we've done before. And probably the other thing worth mentioning is we still don't have an audit letter. It would be nice to know what the goalposts look like. I know that they've outlined some quite extensive areas and also looking into the impact of reforms. It sounds expensive. We don't know what's in it and we don't know what it will cost. But we'll keep tracking that for you. So look, rather than repeat what I said to you last month and go through each work stream, the majority of them are objectively on track. Where there's a little wobble in the assets area, we've corrected that with the resolution. And I believe there was also a guidance from Audit and Risk last week around oversight by ARMC of the AMA progress. So that I feel that yellow light is dealt with. It's not consequential anyway, but it's dealt with.
No, really useful. It's captured everything we need. Thank you, Peter. Tyler.
Kia ora, Peter. Just got a question referring to page 223. In the graph it says headroom and cumulative savings required. I just wanted to clarify, is that OPEX savings that we need?
Yes.
Okay.
Bruce, I've got that right, haven't I? Or Mitch?
I think I asked you this before, Mitch, but I might have forgotten.
That one.
Yes, through the chair, those are the savings, OPEX savings, or rates savings, I should say, that are required. Generally, rate savings line up dollar for dollar with OPEX savings, but not in every case.
Okay, so you're saying that even if we had some small injections, say, for example, we get some kind of surplus, which probably won't happen, that even if we put it in here, it actually wouldn't make a difference because it's OPEX?
Correct. We would also have to be careful with the treatment of the use of surplus to impact those numbers, in the sense if the surplus was applied to rates, while you may get relief in year one, it would increase year two following, because it's not a permanent ongoing saving which is required.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Cool. You're all good? Yep. I'll go Yanni this time and then Nathaniel.
So I'm just interested in the asset management maturity assessment.
Can we do that at the Emma paper?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, it's just better to have the team. Yeah.
I guess I was just trying to understand from the LTP perspective how the data that we've got or don't have will impact the decisions that we're going to make as part of the budgeting.
I think it would be a long bow for me to answer that in any detail, because what the paper highlights is that we just need to understand why the scores have changed. If that's about data quality, there's an impact around data quality, but it's not clear why. And I'm simply saying we need to understand that, and I don't understand it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling, but it is around like for water supply. The low score areas, asset data and information. Data quality is low, systems are fragmented, handover QA is unclear, and asset condition and performance. Performance data is strong, but condition assessment for plants and pump stations are limited, reducing
Yanni,
confidence overall.
I completely get your point.
So-
Hang on, I completely get your point. I think it's a fair question. What we asked yesterday was for when the Emma guys come up to talk through particularly the water stuff. So maybe what we do is we do that, and then when we have our next LTP session, Peter, can we just think about Yanni's question on how we correlate them? Because I think it's a valid point, but
yeah. I mean, I get the asset management people will talk about the assessment and they'll say, this is for the purpose of understanding, but it's the budget, the thing that is.
Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. We're going to have the water people, unless it's changed overnight, we're going to have the water people talking about the money spent and the asset condition as part of the Emma presentation. So not just the asset managers, the actual water.
Okay, cool. So just can I understand in terms of the LTP, if there's a need for additional resource to understand better the asset condition to inform our budget, is there a capacity for the organisation to get that resource? And again, if you look at the performance reporting, where we've repeatedly been told, around CT sewer assessments or that there's an additional need for budget around some of the camera assessments on some of the water infrastructure. So just in terms of the LTP, is there anything else that we could be doing, given what we know about the AMA, to get a better assessment of the assets in terms of budget?
I think I have to support the chair's view that that's part of the wider AMA conversation. I can't technically answer that question.
Cool. Nathaniel?
How do we, until we get a clearer idea of the audit process, how do we grapple with things like, reform program and the possibility of regulatory relief causing us a lot of pain financially? How do we handle that kind of risk?
You'll have to come with me on this one.
Yeah.
Basically, where something is not actually known, we factor it into our assumptions. All LTPs have underpinning assumptions. Now, we have a very brief heads up from audit of half a dozen dot points. And they do mention reform assumptions in there. So the way this works is that LTPs must point at things that are law. If we have a feeling that something's coming down the pipeline, or even we've had strong hints from somebody, we can't point a statutory document at what's effectively a press release so far. We can build it into our assumptions, and we do. We know that these things are on the horizon. But in terms of actually setting dollars aside for, say, reform and reform liability, the only dollars we set aside are those that are required to make the change. In other words, the change management dollars, because we don't know what the final shape will be. Do we end up as the lamb chop? Or do we stand alone? What's the shape of this thing? We can't have 4 scenarios of budgets that we factor in. So basically, the LTP waits until a thing becomes law. We build it into the assumptions. We have the change management dollars in place. And when it becomes law, we reorganise ourselves and point at what we now know to be statutory. So does that make sense?
Yes. So if the law changes between our draft and our, say, going up for consultation, or even between going up for consultation and ratifying, how does that work?
We have to make a dramatic pivot.
Okay, gotcha.
We just have to be ready for the dramatic pivot.
Okay, great.
You good? I think we're there. Great. Has that been moved in second? No, Jake's happy to move it. Victoria's happy to second it. All in favour? Great. Excellent, that's carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, team, for that. Okay, so let's go to, we've done item 10, we've done item 12, let's go to item 11, please. So let's get Jacob, Stephen's here. Aaron, have you got a question? You'll move option 3. And Celeste will second it. Okay.
Good morning, councillors. Just to open up and just to quickly summarise and to clarify, we're not looking to change funding to the 5 existing craft programmes. all we're looking to do here is to seek your direction or support of our recommended option for the allocation of the additional 1.6 million that we've received directly through subsidy. So we're not looking to make any changes to what's already on the cards. We're just looking at how you would like us to spend the extra 1.6 million we've received. We've got a recommended option on the table. Following a few questions from the informal yesterday, we have in advance drafted options up for resolutions for options 2 and 3 as well. So yeah, over to you if you've got any questions.
It's really useful.
Thank you.
So we've got a mover and a seconder for option 3. So Aaron's got a question, then Celeste's got a question.
Yeah, so Stephen, if option 3 passed, which would then allocate the funds around the boards, wouldn't it? Is
Yes.
the way I read it? Yep.
Yeah.
So then one of the recent conversations our board had with Spokes was around, they were bringing us a list of quick wins in our area, which are all safety orientated and speeding up cycle movements. Would we be allowed to use it for that?
Through the chair, we will come back to the community boards and work with them on which projects they would like to see delivered with the additional CREF funding.
But that could be included potentially?
Certainly, yep.
Brilliant, thank you.
Foreshadow. Yep. Okay, and Jake's going to foreshadow the staff rec, and Mel's going to option 2. Oh, which one? Yep, so she'll second that. Okay, I've got Tyler and then Yanni.
Kia ora, guys. Just in regards, thank you for answering those questions, by the way. It's given me a lot of woosah. I just wanted to ask about the business case itself. I think Nathaniel raised this, and maybe he's better suited to ask this question, but it's more around what the business case is for in regards to Environment Canterbury.
So through the chair, the business case is for our component, which is doing the planning and design work associated with the infrastructure delivery, not the increasing of frequency. Environment Canterbury have their own business case process that they've been working through for that. The reason we've put this as a recommended option is that the business case work is generally OPEX, and if we could use this money to substitute other OPEX, then it's actually a better outcome from a rates perspective. The work itself is around the planning work, and even though we're doing a business case to try and seek funding from NZTA, the majority of the work in the business case we would need to do through design anyway.
Yeah.
So, but the bonus of doing the business case is there's a high potential we're going to get additional subsidy from NZTA based on that work we do.
Okay. So and last question is, I'm stuck between, I guess, two thorns here where I'm trying to think about, one, the PT program, and two, the potential of an increase in minor safety improvements through CREF funding. How much is remaining in the minor safety improvements budget?
Through the chair, off the top of my head, I think we're pretty much spent up in that minor safety space. We have a number of projects that are listed in here that are planned for construction anyway, so they're already included in the programme, but following them until the next, or we complete this LTP cycle, we're pretty much spent up in that space. If you did go for the option and put this money into that minor road safety space, that would give us more money to do more projects in that area.
Oh, so you're saying that we could divert some CREF money into the minor road safety budget?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Oh, so through the chair, we would be funding the projects we've listed here, which are currently looking to use money from the minor road safety budget. So if we funded these projects that we've listed through CRAF, that would free
yes, like Island Crossing and et cetera,
yeah.
et cetera. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's good. I'm still stuck between something.
Thanks. So remain concerned at the high cost of the business cases, but also the question I had is around both the Manchester Street study and the Gloucester Street Fitzgerald Armour intersection improvements. I was trying to understand when the review of the accessible city is happening, because I'm just mindful that we keep tinkering at each intersection or street without looking at that plan. And my understanding was there was a review underway of it. And I guess the question is, how can we get that review done to inform the safety improvements that we're proposing?
So through the chair, the Manchester piece of work that we've listed on here is a piece of work that we're similar to the other minor safety projects. It's a piece of work we're progressing with at the moment, but if we did it this way, we'd be funding it differently, and that's the key to it. But the reason we're doing that Manchester piece of work is due to a past council resolution, which is, I think, something the mayor put forward, and it's to look at improving efficiency for both PT and general traffic. So to improve the throughput of all traffic as well as improving PT along Manchester Street. So that's the intention of that project. In terms of the accessible city, a piece of work is ticking away in the background through the central city directions work, but anything we do along Manchester Street is always going to align with what we do in the future for that part of the city, because Manchester Street has always been prescribed as a PT corridor through MRT, PT Futures. If anything, we need to make it more efficient for buses there, but we also want to make it as efficient as possible for everybody else as well. So what we're doing there shouldn't conflict with any future central city directions work. In terms of an update on the central city directions work, I think we'd have to come back to you to give you some information on how that's progressing.
Right, okay. And can I just ask, in terms of, in PX, we've got another change request to a CRAF project. So what I don't understand is, given that we've got a surplus in CRAF, and yet we've repeatedly seen budgets going over, costing more, why wouldn't we apply it to the overruns, the cost overruns, rather than put it to new projects?
Through the chair, I'd have to just familiarise myself.
Yeah,
So if you
I
can
think
come
that
back to that question
probably
later, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's not actually a change request. It's noting a delegation. So it's not. They're not asking us to approve a budget request. But I get your point.
But like Wine Street, Chelsea Street.
Yep.
People can find other ones probably. I don't know if Brockworth came in on budget or like
so
the principle though is.
So through the chair, I think some of these options will account for that, because I think option 3 is looking to reallocate that extra 1.6 million across all CRAF areas, and that would effectively do what you're saying and actually put more money back into those pots where there has been overspend on certain projects.
What I'm trying to understand is we're taking with one hand and we're giving with another. Yeah. And I don't understand why we wouldn't just allocate a budget from the CRAF program to the current projects that are overspent.
Okay.
No, because they're saying it's new money going in.
Do you want to answer that?
Through the chair, so all the CRAF projects, the current CRAF projects, are able to be funded. excuse me, are able to be funded with the existing program budgets.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
It's been removed from the CRAF. Should I talk about it?
Yeah, go for that.
Sorry, through the chair, just to clarify, Wine and Holbert Street is no longer a CRAF project. It originally was, but it's not. So I'm not sure if that's the project that's being referred to here.
And Chelsea Street is the other one.
Chelsea. There is enough. We're just waiting for a cost estimate for Chelsea Street, and it's assumed that there will be enough budget in the remaining Linwood and Woolston CRAF program.
So through the chair, I think the difficulty here is we're looking at individual projects within a CRAF program. So in the Linwood program area, there's enough budget, but in the individual project, there might not have been. So it's just moving around within that program area, if that helps clarify.
It's moving because I'm having PTSD with CRAF. PTSD, no, the efficient one, not the inefficient one. Celeste, you're good? Nathaniel?
Yes. So the business cases in the staff recommendation, if we were to assume that we're not going to get any money from a ZTA, because that seems to be what the new GPS will suggest, is it still worth doing them to the same standard and at the same expense as what's outlined in the recommendation?
So through the chair, the vast majority of the work you need to do in a business case is effectively planning and design work anyway. yes, components of it you wouldn't do
Yeah.
if you weren't going to submit it as a formal business case.
Yeah.
But the majority of the work you would need to do anyway through the planning process.
And we're planning to do that work regardless of today's decision. It's just about whether we allocate this money to that work or, and therefore have a rates reduction. Or is that right?
So through the chair, that's correct. And I think as we've highlighted in other meetings, we're looking to continue with our PT Futures programme, and we're not making funding assumptions on that. If we're lucky and we get funding assistance from NZTA, then that's another bonus.
Cool. So just so I got really clear, so the staff rack is really just using the money to reduce rates a bit, and then the option that Kieran and Donovan are putting forward is to use the money to actually potentially do new projects in community board areas. Is that
Chair,
right?
that's a simple summary. Yes.
Okay, cool, gotcha. Thank you.
Does anyone want to? So it's been moved. So the first one's been moved and seconded. The second one's been foreshadowed. We'll use votendo. Does anyone want to debate this? Or foreshadowed by Jake. Yep, Jake and Mel. Yep. So let's just vote. Then yeah.
They're both really good, man. David, my thing's connecting. Just take a look.
Tyler, are you going to? Oh yeah, that'll.
You guys stop, right?
Okay. So let's bring that up on the screen. Oh, yep. So that's carried. Excellent. Okay. Thank you. That's carried. Let's move on. So let's go to item 13. Gary, come on up to the treatment plant. We leave that, guys, can we, yeah, let's leave that one. Some people won, some people lost, who cares? Let's move on. Gary is going to, and I won, so I was quite happy. Gary, you, okay, Gary, are you good to go?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I've got 4 slides. It's reasonably simple this month. Everything is on target and on time. Looks like we will, the 10th of September will be fully electric for the aerators. The aerators that are out there at the moment are working very, very, very well. We're very happy with what's happening. In terms of other projects that we can start to look at more projects now that the aerators, have settled in and are functioning at a high level, and we're not clicking through, but that's okay. Oh, there we go, sorry. I've just got an assistant here who's just some issues. If we go right through the last one, really, which is what's happening the next month, there's a couple of changes there. So the community meeting that says September, we're actually looking at October, because I think we'll have more to pass on rather than dragging people out at night at the end of October. What we are going to do is we're going to do a project update for the local neighbours, planning on the 12th of September, and the local board will get an invite once I've just nailed it down. But those immediately impacted, there's some big concrete pours coming up towards the end of September So we want to just talk to the most affected people, have a coffee, have a chat, and just make sure we're keeping that connection going. As you can see, the bund due to be finished August, September. The odour bed, they just need some repair before those pipes are completed. The transform platform, working on that. Yeah, pretty much there's quite a lot of projects going on now that we've started to get those ponds up and running. Allows us to do some maintenance.
No, that's really good. Anything we should be worried about?
I'm hesitant to say no, but
That's
at
why
the
I asked
moment,
it.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, we're all comfortable.
Yeah.
Gavin, you're the same. There's nothing that's...
No, I'm comfortable with what's going on down the plant. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yanni, and then I want to just at the end just test the reporting cycle of this as well, and just see whether, and I'd be keen to hear from you guys, Gavin, but also the local board reps just around, local councillors around, if we went to bi-monthly, is that going to be, are we going to gain or lose much? So Yanni, do you want to go first then?
Yeah, I think, I think going every 2 months would be okay, but I do worry that there's a heightened risk towards the end of the year and the start of the year. So I do think having some updates ahead of that and during that time frame would be good. I was keen to know, just in terms of the weather forecast, the El Nino impact of what sort of risk assessment has been done around the potential impact for the adverse odour.
Well, they will know. So the ponds and the algae will like the hot, sunny weather. They'll perform fine. Normally, the issues we have in those situations is the wastewater coming into the plant can be a lot more odorous. So the team, well ahead of summer, take some action to mitigate that, which is essentially shutting down some of the plant so that the wastewater flows through to the main treatment quicker. But the ponds will, in the hot, sunny weather, with the additional aeration, the algae should be performing well.
So the climatic risk is mainly around a colder summer, higher rainfall, the extreme changes from one to the other. Is that a fair assumption?
In terms of the ponds, yes. The waste stream coming into the plant at the head of the plant, the hot, dry weather will mean that will be more odorous. So we do some mitigation there to mitigate those odours coming into the plant.
Okay. And just the one thing that concerns me about the construction is just we've had a bit of a discussion about the greenhouse gases, the climate emissions and the reduction. We've had the mayor go over to China and come back with a whole bunch of new technology. Is there, like, how is the greenhouse emissions that were, modelled tracking in terms of the activated sludge? And when will we be in a position to have a better understanding of the new technologies that can be applied? I'm just mindful that there's a lot of projects, a lot of capital investment proposed for the plant that was done before we had the information back from the overseas trip, and we obviously have raised the concern around the climate emissions as part of the climate emissions reporting.
Through the chair, the activated sludge plant. So there is a question around. Obviously, we've got. When that project put forward, there's some numbers put forward regarding the greenhouse gas reduction. Obviously, there's a question around whether it should be in the numbers that were presented to council 2 weeks ago, and that's something we need to look at, whether we should make an assumption that goes into those numbers. In terms of the performance of activated sludge plant, when it's up and operating, it'll have instrumentation on the plant that will be telling us the actual numbers that the plant's producing. So that's when we'll have the actual understanding of the reduction in greenhouse gases and how we can potentially control the operation of that plant to further reduce it. In terms of the rest of the plant, I don't think there's anything applicable to all those other projects at the plant from the mayor's visit overseas that I'm aware of.
Aaron? And then Celeste? Yep.
Yeah, so just on with the warmer spring as forecast, is more water going into the treatment plant a good thing or a bad thing?
There can be occasions when the flow into the treatment plant is very low, which means essentially takes the wastewater a lot longer to get to the plant, and it can be there can be more hydrogen sulfide in the wastewater.
So more water can be a good thing?
It can be. It's a two-way.
Because something we haven't done in the past, so it's just a suggestion, is because it's the time of year where people empty and clean out their swimming pools and spa pools and stuff, would it be beneficial for us to encourage people to put that into their sewer rather than just onto the lawn like they normally would? And that way it's flushing more water towards Bromley. Is over spring a good thing or not a good thing?
I mean, that'll be a very short term. It wouldn't really have an impact. I mean, the flows we're talking about are in the thousands of litres a second. Right. So yeah, it had very minimal impact. So we take action to mitigate those odours due as a result of the low flows in the plant.
Right.
As I said, the ponds are going to be happier, but it will result in potentially an environment for midges, and that's again, it's either odours or midges, unfortunately. But we also have mitigation in place to reduce the risk of high numbers of midges.
So all of those pools wouldn't be beneficial when they clean them out? Just put it on the lawn is what you're saying, as per normal?
Through the chair, I don't think we'd notice it coming in the plant, yeah.
Cool.
It's really just touching again on what the Rudy asked around El Nino. So have you done specific modelling around that? Because given last year, the issue tends to be we either, like you said, have the smell or we have the midges, and last year it was particularly bad for the midges. I know there's been heaps of work done since, but given that we're looking at a particularly extreme situation in terms of weather, are we doing any additional work on that to make sure that we're not sort of retrospectively trying to put in place things that are probably too late?
Through the chair, so with the aeration in place and the changes we've done, the ponds can set up to take the load that will pass into those ponds. We have a midge mitigation plan in place, which we had, and that'll be the same as every other summer. We might be out on those ponds more often, trying to reduce the number of midges, but we won't be doing any. There's no need for us to do any modelling around an ENO at the treatment plant.
I guess my question would be, given that we had a pretty bad situation last year and we're looking at more intense conditions that potentially will provide either stronger odours or more midges, one way or the other, just be good to maybe get, I think to Yanni's point, getting ahead of any questions that might come up, because I don't think we can necessarily predict one way or the other how bad it could be if we haven't looked at that in detail. That would be my sense. So it'd just be good to get some more information.
Yeah, through chair, we can provide our midge mitigation plan that we have coming up this summer and what we'll be doing there. And in terms of the risk of odours, the aeration and the work we've done is that mitigation. We wouldn't look to be doing anything further because it's about load. So El Nino will not increase the load going to the ponds. If anything, it potentially could make them more resilient due to the higher, longer sunshine hours.
You're saying though, Celeste, you just want we need a bit of information, just some clarity and certainty as we go into this.
Just a bit of comfort ahead of it, because I think we are heading into uncharted waters in terms of the weather stuff, and we had they called it a plague last year with the midges. So yeah. So
is that okay? Could we have a think about how we can do up some stuff that I think would be really useful for us, but also the public, just so that we're all on the same page. And can I just get a sense from Yanni and Celeste? Are we comfortable with 2 monthly? Is that?
Yeah, I mean that's good. Just with the proviso that going into the summer and the potential extreme weather.
Yep.
You know, I think specifically it may be good just to get a specific report around the midge mitigation. I know staff are doing a lot of work, they've got a plan, but I do share the concern that with the extreme weather, that could be a really adverse impact on the community. So
what about if we, so how would this work if we're in August, let's not do September, but in October, bring just that report, and then we'll have something towards the end of December. It might just have to be a council meeting where it's just a standard update like this as we go into the
and break. I would just add the only other thing is making sure that if there was to be a problem that spiked over Christmas, that we've got a plan in place to communicate with people, because the issue lay in the fact that there was no one around to talk about what was happening. So people kind of generally, it became a bigger thing than it would have otherwise been.
Yeah.
So
I tell you, well, why don't we let's change it slightly. Why don't we say, because we're basically at the end of August, you'll get through all your stuff in September and October. Can you bring back our thing in November? So bring your next one to us in November, which has what happens going into the summer, addresses the concerns Yanni and Celeste raised, and then sort of the comms plan over that summer period as well. I think that would be, is that kind of going to capture what you guys need? Yeah. And then, so it's in a position where it can be shared publicly as well.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll still continue to go to the board each month. So if there's anything that comes up
Yeah,
during
perfect.
that, I can add that in as well.
So let's bring the next one here in November, and then that'll have all the stuff for the summer, and then we'll pick it up in the early into the new year. Cool, excellent. So I'm happy to move this. Tim's happy to second it. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Now we've got two papers before we go into PX. One's AMA and one's elected members. Let's do the elected member one. Then we might have our break and then do AMA. Does that suit? Assuming, but do people have questions on AMA? Yeah. Okay, Matt, can you come up and let's do your one, which I'm happy to move. Tim's happy to second, or yeah, Mark's happy to second. Yeah. Yeah, and Jake's got a question. Go for it. Jake, you good to go?
Currently the deputy mayor has up till the 3rd of December to take up or to vacate her appointment at CNZ. This would push it through to February. February 28? What are you expecting to happen in terms of CE appointment at CNZ over that time?
I can't answer that directly. I don't know. This is just in response to CNZ's request for some overlap in governance stability.
Can you ask them, I mean, I suspect this will sail through today, but can you ask them what they're expecting, what work will happen over December and January?
Will do.
Sorry, I'm happy. Now, or?
You can answer if you want to, but...
I'm actually going to say it's a question for either, so... During that time, December, January. Right. Okay, thank you.
Yanni, are you good, Jake? Yeah, cool. Yanni?
Yeah, just in terms of 3.11, it says Christchurch NZ Constitution provides for 2 categories of directors, 3.11.1 council directors, and then it talks about the minimum of 5, maximum of 10. Are you able to just tell us why we wouldn't appoint a 3rd council director if it's important to get input into the change?
Are you? I feel like you're putting your hand up.
No, I'm just
what
asking.
you wish for.
I'm just trying to understand the reason why we don't have 3 and we only have 2 when we can have 3. Especially if it's going through a change and we want, governance experience from council on the board.
I would say convention has been on the size of the board and the number of directors that have been appointed, and that's happened at the start of the triennium. So traditionally, you've appointed 2 directors along with their directors, the side of the board. It would be a discussion for you to have with CNZ around the balance of the board and what that looked like.
Okay, everyone happy? Yeah. You're happy? Yeah? You're happy? Yeah, cool. Yeah. No, as long as you're, yeah. Okay, great. Excellent. So has that been moved? That's been moved by me, seconded by Mark. All in favour? Against? Melanie's against. I thought you were conflicted on that one. Well, that's what we read out at the start. Oh, it's 15. We'll check with the legal team. It's just noted here that you're conflicted. So, okay, so that's carried. Let's break for Emma. Let's break for morning tea and then go to Emma. Yeah. So let's move to the asset management report. And I'll welcome the team up to that now. Okay. All right, we'll jump into it.
Thank you. So this, we're just bringing this paper to you. We provided you with a briefing last week, and this is the paper just to bring the asset management maturity assessment report to you. As we've clarified, this is we do this every 3 years. It's part of our levels of service. This has helped to inform our asset management practice and our improvement program. Overall, the scores, we're happy with the scores, being high, core and intermediate, so that shows that we're in a good place and comparatively with other like industries in a good place. So that's where we want to be. We have work underway. This is an ongoing process, so we always have asset management improvement programs underway. This is just a check-in to see where we're at. Since this report was written, we've landed some more of that work, particularly in the data space. So, and that is ongoing. So we'll continue to run those programs. This report will help inform and build the new asset management improvement programs for the asset areas. So we'll take the paper as read. Happy to answer any questions.
Hey, thank you. And that's been moved by me and seconded by Jake. Now, does anyone have any questions? Yanni.
Thank you. So on page 334, sorry, it's on the old report, but 42 of the key improvement programs, it says council-wide sound investment programs and capital project processes. Strengthening the investment programs will support the preparation for the 2027 LTP. And then it goes on to talk about a number of improvements, including a development of a council-wide format prioritisation framework to rank capital projects in a transparent and repeatable process. Are we able to get a time frame for when that will be done? And can we get an understanding of how that will inform the 27 LTP?
What number was that? Sorry, Councillor.
So it's on the key improvement programs, table 4, page 42 of the AMA report, page 334 of the old. Sorry, I've just got the old hard copy from previous months, but it's in the list of improvements.
Just so I've got it, are you in the May agenda or actually the AMA report?
It's the 22nd of July, 26, but it's in terms of the AMA report. It's page 42.
Yeah, so the attachment A.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it's the table 4 of the key improvement programs.
Can you read out what the key improvement program heading was?
Yeah, so it was the sound investment programs and capital project processes.
Right, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's council-wide number 3, isn't it, Yanni?
Yeah.
Yep. No, got that in front of us. Thank you. So that's a piece of work that will go into our PMO. So we already, of course, have prioritisation processes in place within our PMO. Paul can probably talk better to that directly. This is really just picking up that, particularly with the asset data handovers and the systems and processes that were looked at through the AMA, how they better integrate with the prioritisation of the capital program. So that will feed into the improvement programs across the organisation. So that will be part of what we do to prepare us for the 27 LTP.
Sorry, so when will we be able to see the prioritisation framework?
As part of one of the workshops that we ran for the LTP, we've already run through a prioritisation process for the LTP for capital program.
Right, so that is a direct result of this recommendation?
No, that was a result of what was required for the LTP in terms of what the letter of expectation to us was.
So why is this recommendation in here?
So you've got to remember the timing of this report. So this report was developed towards the end of last financial year and beginning of this end of last calendar year and the beginning of this calendar year, and there is work that is ongoing. So this recommendation, I would imagine, would be to build on the current work that we have in place, and PMO obviously have those processes in place. This is simply to ensure that we continue to build on that and have those sound processes there.
Right, so my understanding is that we receive the draft report and then we go back and we explain what we're doing to the independent author, and then they modify the report based on that. And that's been happening in the last couple of months, so...
No, well, that was, as I say, Councillor, that was end of last calendar year. Sorry, I'll just clarify, when did we start? When was the first draft report?
The first draft report was prepared in December.
Right.
And then feedback gathered, but interviews took place with staff back in end of August, start of September last year.
So it is quite a process, and working our way through this. And as I say, the improvement programs that we have and the processes we have continue to be worked through, even when this report is being prepared. So it's not unusual for there to be recommendations in here that may have already been delivered against.
So how, at a governance level, in terms of the recommendations in Table 4, how can we get visibility of either them being complete, them being in progress, or them being, obviously delayed or not being achieved? Like, what's the best way that we could do that?
We had a discussion about that on Friday at Audit and Risk, and so what we've agreed at a resolution is that program will be reported to Audit and Risk, and then Audit and Risk will feed something to the council or F&P. So it was just to get a structure in place around that.
Is it, obviously there's some stuff that's already been adopted. Is it possible just to get a list of, like as of this report, just get a sense of what's actually been achieved?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that would be in that first 6 month report. It would be a status update as to where we're at with some of these things. And I think the item that you raised, Councillor, I think in many ways it shows that the stars have aligned, because both through the LTP project team and through this independent review, they both said we need a prioritisation framework, and it's been put in place. So I think that's a good thing.
Okay. Can I just ask about Three Waters in particular? It's obviously gone backwards quite considerably, and at the same time that we've spent a huge amount of time with Three Waters reform, with the chlorination issue, with Ministry of Health or the water assessors.
Okay, so what's your question? Yeah?
So the question is, I'm trying to understand why Three Waters has gone back so far at the same time that we've spent so much focus on it.
Well, I wouldn't accept that Three Waters has gone back significantly, and as I said at the briefing, there are a number of factors that go into the development of these scores. There's 16 factors that are looked at, and data is one of them, but there are multiple factors, and there are also the reality that these reports are being delivered by different people with different processes in developing the report. So it's not as I explained, it's not, you're not necessarily comparing directly a one-to-one correlation between those reports. This is to give us an understanding of where we sit within a band, and we sit currently core and high core and intermediate. Now I do know, and I don't want to talk for Gavin, but I think there was he was particularly interested in getting a focus on Three Waters, and asked specifically for probably a greater focus on Three Waters than we've had previously, but that might be as far as I'm prepared to go, and I'll hand over to Gavin if you've got anything further.
Through the chair, I suppose I'll say the results don't surprise us. I mean, we did ask for them to drill into certain areas, particularly around asset data, and the water service delivery plan that we put through to DIA last year had 4 key tasks in there that are working towards to address a lot of these areas.
Sorry, so the lifting current through water's asset state knowledge, and that's repeated in wastewater and land drainage, and so like it says, strengthen the asset data capture and process is a high priority due to impacts on many business areas, includes targeted condition assessments, strengthening asset handover processes, proactive data management, so fit for purpose end use. So what's the plan in place to actually do that? I mean, I say this as someone who walked down Jolly Street and saw the consequence post Three Waters work of what the street was left in, which was in a pretty miserable condition.
Okay.
Didn't seem to be picked up, and that was recently.
Yep.
So how are we doing? How are you addressing those recommendations, and what's the time frame for seeing an improvement?
And I have got Tyler next, so
yeah.
Do you want
to through the chair? There's we have a number of streams of work underway, and that includes there are processes being put in place for better data capture. There's a lot of work being undertaken with digital and digital integration. There's work underway to formalise the condition assessments process. So it would probably be best that if we came in and gave a briefing on everything we're doing, because there's a significant amount of work in play. This is largely driven around that we know that we'll be receiving information disclosures in the future. So it's getting us in a position to respond to those when they come from central government.
Okay, Yanni, are you good?
No, not good.
In relation to this paper, I guess.
2 more questions. One was,
Is he?
so the 2023 AMA made reference to previous AMAs, and I'm just wondering what we've done differently between 2023 and now to improve the problems that were identified.
So following the 2023, through you, Chair, following the 2023 AMA, which was a shorter form AMA that we targeted in on data, because we identified that that would be where our best gains could be delivered at that point in time. We focused in on an AMA on data. Falling out of that, we instigated an asset management project in partnership with Digital, where we worked on specific streams. We had 3 streams, which I'm struggling to remember off the top of my head, but asset data, data standards, financial integration, and condition assessment. Now we've delivered, since that 23 AMA, we've delivered 2 of those programs, with the 3rd one not far away. So that's an example of something that fell out of that 2023 AMA, and the work we then did and the progress we've then made. So that will continue. There's ongoing programs around our data.
So what confidence can we have that, again, in the findings, there's repeated instances of where we've got asset management improvement programs that are not actively being monitored? And, what confidence can we have that they will be actively monitored going forward?
Through you, Chair, I can assure you they will be actively monitored. I think those references are in regards to specific components as opposed to the entire programs. Each asset area has an asset improvement program, and they have people that are looking at those, but they have to do that within prioritisation of other work as well. So they will dive in and out of those. In Paul's team, we have people that are now looking specifically across the organisation at these asset management improvement programs, and we're continuing to work with our colleagues to ensure they are delivered. This report does drop down to quite a level of detail. It is a report designed for management as opposed to governance, and I think the reporting up through audit and risk is probably a more appropriate way to provide governance oversight, so we can give you an indication of where we're at with these improvement programs.
And the final question from me was the one that I raised in the previous LTP report, is I'm concerned that to understand how we have confidence in the LTP budgets when we don't have good asset condition data. And given the issues that have been referred to in this report, I'm trying to understand how we align the LTP process, given that there seems to be a lot of work that's still required to understand the data and asset condition in terms of the budgets.
Through you, Chair, I think it's a matter of context. This report is on our data, our asset management practices and processes and systems that we have in place. Nothing's materially changed or gone backwards since the last LTP or the one before that. We are continuing to move forward with our asset management improvement programs as best we can. In relation to where we sit within the rest of the, with like industries, we're in a pretty good place. As I say, there's always work that we can be doing, and I have confidence that the information that our teams have is sufficient for the feeding into the LTP process.
Sorry, do we need to get the LTP stuff here? Because the LTP report is quite different. It raises concern. It requests feedback on the risks. It asks for, it says the risks are currently unclear. It says it's important to understand why decreases have occurred and the risks to asset data, asset management, blah, blah, blah. And it also, says that the AMA report contains a wide range of improvement initiatives, and it should be that these be considered by governance as part of the LTP. So I'm just trying to understand how we do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's the monthly reporting, because 6 months from now, the LTP is basically going to be, well down the track.
Yeah. So is there a way? Because I know what you're saying, and it's probably not helpful to have the LTP team come up now. But I mean, is there a way that we just look at bringing something to audit and risk, sooner than that? Because we've got, I don't know when our next audit and risk one is, but I think what you're saying, Yanni, is how can that assurance be given that it's all lined up, and it's audit and risk might be a useful way to do it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd have to check, but I think there's an ARMC meeting in October.
Peter,
we could bring that forward.
How does that work?
This is a little bit off the hip, but we'll have a draft in October. So it would just be a case of, I think, reconciling the work program that David's outlined, the draft LTP, and try to provide assurance that everything's lined up. So that's a very off-the-cuff response to a slightly different approach.
Yeah. Does that, Yanni, does that address what you're raising?
I mean, I guess I would expect to see things like, say water supply, pump stations and reservoirs, that we're at 60% assessment of condition, and by, within 3 months we'll be at 100, or we'll be, I think we need to understand what the milestones will be to get that data in terms of how it's informing our LTP. So if audit and risk want to pick that up, that's great. But I think the concerns that are outlined in the LTP report are excellent. And I just think there needs to be a way that they get reported up to audit and risk and us at governance.
Yep. So they did get flagged on Friday, and the mechanism was the reporting, but it might be that the reporting we look at bringing something earlier to deal with the draft LTP.
So perhaps a different, an additional resolution around the LTP, so that before we sign off on the draft LTP, we do have some understanding of what the impacts are.
Peter, does that?
Yeah, look, David and Paul are on the LTP project team. We could work together to address that.
Cool. Okay, so I'll just get his wording and then we'll go for it. Yanni, do you want to just email to David, or do you want to go and just have a chat to the team, and then Mel, do you want to go for it? Yeah.
With this reporting to audit and risk, what will be reported? Like how will it be reported? Like you'll have the little projects that you've got to do and how much has been completed, but will it give an idea of where we're actually at with assets?
Through you, Chair, that's something to be determined. I need to work with the relevant GMs to identify how and what we're going to be reporting.
Will that come back to governance to say that they're happy or not with that framework or whatever?
The report, sorry, I missed the first bit, was around the reporting.
What I'm wanting to make sure is if we're having progress in implementing this, come back to audit and risk, and the information that you receive is
what we'd expect type
fulsome.
thing. Yeah.
That covers not just what you're doing, but actually what progress it's made in the knowledge.
It'd be a whole, it'd be basically tracking of the implementation plan. So it's like
we can make sure that it shows you the progress.
Yeah, because you kind of want, I think you're right, you want you basically want to go, what's all the stuff that needs to be done, what's been done, what's in progress, what's at risk, the whole.
But also overall, what is the, those ratings that they have in the report and how much have they improved?
Well,
I know that they're done by talking, but you could give a.
I think the issue is, I think the only thing is, and because I tend to agree, but the ratings won't improve because they only improve when you get the external assessment. That's the only thing. So it's like if you, in theory, and maybe I'm being too theoretical on it, you do all the implementation stuff, you should see a change in the results. So
theoretically, there can be other factors that will drive your results the other direction that you're not aware of at the time. But yes, in theory, yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it'd be good to just reflect Mel's comments in the reporting as well, because I think is the general sentiment we're going in the right direction or not, and then that will help allay Yanni's concerns as well. So you're good. Yep. Cool. Anyone else, Scott? No? Great. So we'll just get the wording for. Oh, sorry, Tyler. Yeah, go for it, man.
Oh, just probably for Three Waters, just public knowledge around the way that we do handle our assets. Just to be clear, you do the work underground, and then there's a waiting period before resurfacing works, right? So say, for example, you do a big wastewater pipe, it gets laid over, patched up. There's a period where you're testing out the infrastructure before the road goes on top.
That might be. Is it a Brent or a Stephen question potentially? Just around, because you're probably thinking of Maidstone Road.
Maidstone Road.
Yeah.
Through the chair, sorry, Councillor, if you'd like to just continue your question.
So, Maidstone Road, we use that as an example, but I'm just thinking in general here. And the way that Three Waters and transport work. So, for example, Three Waters put in large infrastructure underground, patchwork then ensues. There's a period where Three Waters are testing out the pipes. Am I right in thinking that after Three Waters have given the all clear on that infrastructure, then transport come in at the direction of Three Waters?
Through the chair, generally after any activity in the road, whether it's Three Waters or any utility provider, there'd be a 12-month
12 months
warranty period. So normally we wouldn't want to go in with to do something different on the road surface until that 12-month period is up to make sure that there isn't any failures. And that sort of relates to the points Councillor Johansson was making earlier as well. And just on that there is actually a onus on transport there, because we sign off the works that the Three Waters contractors do. So part of that we're looking at how we resource that to make sure we've got more people on the ground actively checking the reinstatements are done to the correct standard, so that they're not failing. Obviously, things can happen in the ground, and things do fail unexpectedly, but we are working closely with Three Waters to try and tidy that process up.
And that 12-month period is where you can actually bite back to the contractor and say, hey, you guys need to fix this.
Yeah, through the chair, that's correct. It would be a contractual obligation on the contractor to fix it.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, sorry if this is being discussed, but just on the 12 monthly thereafter thing, do we need to give any thought to when exactly that reporting would come back? Because in my mind, it's all, it needs to be, the timing is everything, because we need the information to be able to make decisions about the plan and all that sort of stuff, and it should just be it should all just work really, really seamlessly together. I'm not sure if we need to consider that, or the timing of it. I mean, I'm just putting the question out there.
we've reflected the resolutions based off the discussion, and that's been moved and seconded. Does anyone want to debate it? No? Great. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, team, for that. Okay, let's now... Is that everything we've done in public? I think. Great. So I'll move to exclude the public, I should say. Vic's happy to second that. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Oh, Jake, do you want to just... Yeah.